All right. Hi, friends. I am so glad I have a second to join you. Let's talk about mindsets. Mindsets are such a huge thing that set our trajectory in life every day. Honestly, how we view ourselves, God, the world around us, even our mission in life is affected dramatically by how we view things, but by our rose colored glasses. One perspective that God's really been working with me on is this that the word says that everything a righteous man puts his hand to is blessed. But then Second Corinthians 5:21 says that we received God's righteousness. And not only that allows us to everything our hands we put our hands to is blessed, but now it is no longer I that live, but Christ that lives within me. And so how could whatever I put my hand to not be blessed if it's Christ putting his hands through me into all these different spheres of influences, into the different things that he wants to happen, to be affected, the areas in the world that he has called me to be a part of. So anyway, that mindset has been a challenge, and it's a total flip to how I viewed everything, who I am, what God's called me to do, how I'm supposed to approach life. That changes everything, and it's a simple mindset. I just look. I have like two horns. Do you see that? That's really bad. So I probably should check my hair before I come in here. Anyway, mindsets are a huge thing. Think about the things that you struggle with. Some of those sins in your life that are the toughest for you to conquer. And every time it comes up again, you view yourself as defeated or almost impossible to get over this thing or change your mindset about how this thing because it's so ingrained in you. Well, I'm going to pause for a second and talk about Root Bible Academy because that's why we do what we do. Root Bible Academy doesn't wait till you're an adult to begin working with you endlessly, tirelessly, year after year to change your mindsets to what should have been set initially. Root Bible Academy helps whole families unite in their spiritual maturity process. And so that every person can be getting those correct mindsets and a young person from the beginning. Because then, how awesome is that? Mindsets are so hard to change. So why not start with the right one? And then it's so hard to change to the wrong one. And then as adults, I guarantee you, as you're going through these things with your family, going through these classes and eavesdropping on your kids, your mindsets are going to be challenged to begin viewing yourself, the world around you, etc., the way Christ does. And this lines up exactly with what George Barna has been finding. Let me hang on, I'm going to pull it up. I should have had it pulled up beforehand. George Barna has done a ton of research. If you don't know who that is, he has a research group for evangelical Christians. And so he does research on churches, and he does research on Christian parenting and all these different things. And so here's what he said. Let me get to it. Here it is. The reason why Christians are so similar in their attitudes, values, and lifestyles to non-Christians is that they were not sufficiently challenged to think and behave differently, radically differently, based on core spiritual perspectives when they were children. Simply getting people to go to church regularly is not the key to becoming a mature Christian. Spiritual transformation requires a more extensive investment in one's ability to interpret all life situations in spiritual terms. That's George Barna. And that's exactly why I really encourage you to either get your family enrolled in Root Bible Academy or ask God how he wants you to partner with what God is doing. Root Bible Academy is growing like crazy. That's just the truth. It's growing so fast, and it's so exciting to be a part of it, especially at this stage, as God just is launching this into so many families and churches and impacting lives more than ever before, by far. It's really, really fun. And so ask God, hey, what part do you want me to play? Is it simply sharing posts? Is it simply donating some monthly income towards Root? Is it volunteering some time and doing it that way? Ask God, He'll show you. But back to mindsets. Did you know? Well, you know what? I'm just going to quote Barna some more. This write up I found on Barna's site. If you message me, I can send you the link. It says basically these things. One, a person's moral foundations are generally in place by the time they reach age 9. It includes their fundamental perspectives on truth, integrity, meaning, justice, morality, and ethics. And then from that point, they refine their views that they had set by age 9, but they don't often have a wholesale change in those leanings. Isn't that interesting? By age 9, those things are set. That's why it's so important as parents that we are investing in the spiritual lives of our kids. You know, it's in school, they're getting almost 40 hours a week. If they're going to a public school, they're getting almost 40 hours a week of training that a lot of times goes opposite of what we believe as Christians. And then they're coming home and they're watching television or movies, listening to the radio, they're on social media, and the majority of that, again, is communicating perspectives, communicating mindsets that go opposite of what we believe as Christians. So 40 hours a week times 52, that's what? 2,000 some hours a year. If it was for a full year, 52. Let's say it's for 40, right? Make it easy. 40 hours a week, 40 weeks is 1,600 hours. Now, the stats are showing that it's almost another 6 to 8 hours a day that people are getting of media because of multimedia. They're on their phones, right? And watching TV or listening to radio or whatever it is. So they're getting communications in two different ways at the same time. And so then you add that in, and that adds a ton more than that 1,600 hours. When you figure 8 hours again a day times 52, that is another 4,000 hours. So we're up to about 6,000 hours of anti-biblical perspectives being communicated to our kids, setting mindsets, even ourselves, setting mindsets, setting perspectives. And that's why that goes back to, it's no wonder why Christians are so similar in their attitudes, values, and lifestyles to non-Christians. That's what Barna was saying. Now let's take if we just went to church. Ready? If we go to church, the average stat is once every 3 weeks. So what is that? Let's say it's 20 weeks in a year. I know that's a little over once every 3 weeks, but let's say you're better than average Christian, right? And so you're going more regularly, but there's vacations and sports and all these other things that you just got to take the weekend off for. And so 20 hours or 20 Sundays that you're actually in church. An average church service is about an hour and a half. But for kids, when you check them in, they have games. They got some silly crafts they're usually doing, some welcome, and all the other different things that you have to do as a ministry to help control the kids, so they're not getting out of hand. That's really what it comes down to. And we use all these other different things to be able to capture their their mind and refocus them instead of often what is the word, or supernatural, spiritual abilities, power, God showing himself, getting kids wowed with God. Instead of, we use other things. And so when you pull those things out, at actually in an hour and a half service, it adds up to almost an hour of other things. At the most, kids are really getting 30 minutes of spiritual impartation. And you know, if you're at a church with an hour service or an hour 15, we oftentimes the children's ministry isn't pulling out the games or the crafts or the snacks out of the service. They're limiting the ministry time. There's a lot of places I know where they try to do 5-minute segments where they're gonna teach a little bit for 5 minutes and then do all these other things, and then if service is going long or there's time at the end, they're gonna do another 5 minutes on spiritual maturity, building up who they are. And sadly, in 5 minutes, there's not a whole lot of time to even get scripture in. So it's just based off of ideas to the kids, not even the strength and power of the word. And so let's go with 30 though. 30 minutes on the 20 Sundays that you're in church. That's 10 hours of spiritual training in a year's time. Compared to, what do we say, 6,000 hours of secular perspective setting, secular mindsets being communicated. It's no wonder that our kids are struggling as youth and as college age with things that as Christian parents we didn't expect them to struggle with, because we went to church on Sundays, and sadly the church in many times, not purposely, but is communicating, hey, we're the experts on spiritual maturity, so come to us and we will take care of that part for you. As a parent, you don't have to take that on. We can do that. We're better at it than you are. So just bring the kids to us, right? And it's really opposite of what God's word says. I mean, look at Proverbs. What does Proverbs say? It says, don't turn from your father and your mother's teaching. That's where Proverbs starts off with. In the first few chapters, it highlights the importance of the father and the mother training up the child in the way they should go. Do you know the verse, train up a child in the way they should go? It's not talking about church. Do you know the Bible talks way more about training your kids as you walk, as you sit, as you get ready for bed, and as you rise up, when you're traveling. All these different things are highlighted as key spiritual mindset setting times that don't happen at church. Unless your kids are eating breakfast at church and going to bed at church and traveling at church, you're missing on those key mindset setting times. And honestly, there's no one God has created better suited to set mindsets in the life of a kid, regardless of their age, than the parent. It's the truth. And so we want to partner, Root Bible Academy, we want to partner with you in helping set the right mindsets, in helping our kids start with the correct mindset, that as they hit age 9, when all these moral foundations are set, or by age 13, all their main views of spiritual things are set, whether it's God, heaven, hell, eternity, all those key things are set. And then, like with this other one, from that point on, their viewpoint is refined from what was initially set, not often changed from what was initially set. So again, partner with Root Bible Academy, whether that's signing your family up, whether that's donating monthly to help us reach more families. God's really put a mandate on us to begin reaching thousands of families every month instead of hundreds. And you can be a big part of that. Maybe it's donating some time and volunteering with Root Bible Academy. You probably don't know, we're a 501c3 nonprofit that has opportunities for people to volunteer from anywhere in the world. It's actually pretty cool. Or maybe it is just simply sharing and commenting on the videos and the posts that we put out, putting them on your page or posting them on your church's pages so that others can become aware of this option for real spiritual growth between Sundays, to help their families be grounded in the word and ignited by the Spirit. That's what we do with Root Bible. And you are a part of that. I can't wait to see how God works through you to help us reach these thousands. And don't forget, ask God, what mindset should we be focusing on setting as a family this week? It's a great question. He'll lead you, he'll show you, and then it becomes the adventure with him. All right, I'm Josh with Root, and we'll see you again. All right, bye.